two used F-150s. Same lot, same money, same miles. On one of them, changing the spark plugs can turn into a four-figure repair. Plugs that snap off inside the cylinder head, one at a time. On the other, it's an afternoon and under $100 in parts. And nothing in the listing tells you which is which. That gap, not the asking price, decides whether a cheap truck stays cheap. And there's a pattern behind it. The things that make a truck expensive to buy are the same things that make it expensive to fix. Turbochargers, direct injection, 10 forward gears. Take those away and you get a truck nobody gets excited about, which is exactly why it's cheap and exactly why it keeps running. So here are 7 cheap Ford trucks that quietly hold up, not ranked best to worst. They solve different problems, and I'll tell you who each is for. 6 earn their place on simplicity. The 7th is the exception, and I'll explain why it's here anyway. And that spark plug truck from the opening, one model year changes the whole story. Number 1 is where I'd start if you want the simple V8 answer, the 2011 to 2014 F-150 with the 5.0 and the 6-speed. And here's the thing that surprises people. The engine is almost never what makes me walk away from one of these. The body is. The drivetrain is about as uncomplicated as a modern truck gets. The 5.0 is naturally aspirated and port-injected. No turbos, nothing caking the intake valves, and the 6R80 6-speed has a real track record. It's one common repair, a lead frame connector, around $1,000, a fraction of a 10-speed rebuild. Your walkaway risk is rust, not the drivetrain. These are steel-bodied trucks well past a decade old. On the lot, get underneath it first. Frame, cab corners, bed mounts. Best for the buyer who wants the old-school V8 answer and is willing to hunt for a clean body. And that's how to use this list. Pick the drivetrain first, then find the cleanest example of it, not the other way around. Falling for a color and a trim level and researching the engine afterward is how people end up with the expensive version of a cheap truck. Number 2 is cheaper for one reason buyers can't stand, the 2011 to 2014 F-150 with the 3.7 V6. It's slow, nobody's chasing it, so nobody's bidding the price up. And the same thing that makes it unpopular makes it durable. No turbos, no direct injection, and with maintenance, these engines have a reputation for running well past 200,000 miles. The buying decision is simple. If your hardest job is commuting, hardware store runs, and a small trailer, don't pay V8 money for a badge. If you tow heavy, skip it entirely. Your one real risk is the cooling and timing end of this engine. The water pump is chain-driven behind the front cover, so it's a proactive replacement, not a wait and see. On the lot, hear it stone cold and ask what's been done at the front of the engine. If nobody can tell you, price that in. And use the unpopularity. If it's been sitting on the lot a while, that's leverage. Best for the buyer who wants a truck nobody else is competing for. Number 3 is where that spark plug story from the opening finally lands. The year that changes everything is 2009. Ford's 2-piece spark plug, the one that carbons up and snaps off inside the head, ran across the 3-valve engines from 2004 to 2008. Those horror stories are real. But Ford moved to a 1-piece plug after that, so a 2009 or 2010 4.6 3-valve sits on the right side of the fix. Same engine family, completely different repair story. The reputation belongs to the years, not the engine. Your check, plug service history. On the lot, confirm the year, then ask when the plugs were last done. Originals sitting in for 150,000 miles is a different truck than one that's been serviced. Best for the buyer who wants a genuinely cheap older truck and now knows which years to look at. It is not powerful, and it's not a towing recommendation. Number 4 is the one I'd hand to the largest number of you, the 2015 to 2017 F-150 with the 5.0. If you want me to stop the list and just give you the mainstream answer, this is it. You get the aluminum body, which doesn't rust the way steel does, a real advantage in salt country. You still get the port-injected 5.0, and you get it before the 2018 to 2020 oil consumption years. In 2015 and 2016, every F-150 used the 6-speed, and the 5.0 carried it into 2017. One mandatory check, run the VIN. Some 2015 to 2017 6-speed trucks are covered by an unintended downshift recall. The remedy is a free software update. Just confirm it was completed. On the lot, VIN before you negotiate. Best for the buyer who wants something modern enough to daily without stepping into the later complications. And the next one is that overlooked combination I promised in the opening. It's newer than everything so far, and it somehow avoids both the turbo conversation and the 10-speed conversation. Number 5. The 2018 to 2020 F-150 with the 3.3 V6. Here's why it's clever. By 2018, this truck had gotten complicated. Turbos across most of the range, and the 10-speed becoming standard. But the base 3.3 quietly kept the 6-speed. So this one configuration buys you a late-model truck with no turbo and no 10-speed, the loophole on this list. Almost nobody searches for it on purpose, which is why it's priced like the base truck it is. Check the listing age. Base trucks sit longer than the loaded ones beside them. Your walkaway check is the cold start. There are reported timing chain complaints on the 3.3. On the lot, start it stone cold, hear a rattle, don't explain it away, walk. Best for the buyer who wants simplicity more than acceleration. It is the base engine, not a tow rig. Number 6 is a special case, and I'll be straight before you waste 5 minutes. If you're shopping for one modern family daily driver, this is not your answer. If you want a farm truck, a second truck, or a simple project, stay with me. It's the 1987 to 1996 F-150 with the 300 inline-six, and it's the purest version of everything I've been describing. Simple fuel injection, an iron block, almost nothing that fails expensively, and parts everywhere. But I won't romanticize it. No modern safety equipment, mediocre brakes by current standards, and rust decides whether it's worth anything. On the lot, ignore the engine for 5 minutes and inspect the frame. Best for second truck, property, or project duty, nothing else. And number 7 is the exception I promised. The 2018 to 2020 F-150 with the 2.7 EcoBoost. Turbocharged, 10-speed, everything I've spent this video steering you away from. Because it answers a question the others can't. If you want more usable torque than the base V6 without the bigger engine's complexity, this is the sorted version of the small EcoBoost. The 2015 to 2017 version had a leaking composite oil pan and carbon buildup from being direct injection only. For 2018, Ford added port injection alongside it and revised the pan, which reduces the exposure, not eliminates it. What it costs you, it's still a turbo engine with more parts to go wrong, and these years use the 10-speed. Your check is documentation. On the lot, cold start it, drive it fully warm, watch the transmission, and demand service records. Complexity is only affordable when it's been maintained. Best for the buyer trading simplicity for capability, with eyes open. Now, the other side, because it matters just as much. The two combinations I'd be most careful with at this same price are the 5.4 Triton, where that spark plug job can genuinely run into 4 figures, and the first generation 3.5 EcoBoost, where timing chain stretch is documented on the earlier build dates. Neither is automatically a bad truck. Both demand history and inspection, and neither is one to buy on price alone. So look at what actually made this list. The V6 nobody wants, the base engine, the old truck, the pre-turbo V8. Not one is here because it's impressive. They're here because there's less of them to go wrong. So, pick the drivetrain first, then hear it stone cold, check rust and frame, run the VIN, and read the service records. Because mileage tells you how far it went. Records tell you how it got there. A documented 180,000-mile truck with the right engine costs you less than a neglected 90,000-mile one with the wrong one. And the unpopularity cuts both ways. What makes these cheap to own makes them slow to sell. That's your leverage. If you want the full breakdown of which F-150 years and engines to buy and which to avoid, that's next. I'll see you there.